Well, hello and welcome to another episode of the programming course. I hope you enjoyed it so far. And in this episode, I'm going to talk a bit more about files and ways to uh, store data. So, uh, as you can see, I've switched my whole setup, so you might hear me different or whatever. But don't worry. I try to perform my best. There's a folder here that there is only one single Python script, which is the test API, and I'm not sure that if it is if it works or not because I've just run into this PC and just I'm not done setting this up. So uh, first of all, I'm going to make you think about if you are writing a program for instance, for a school or storage institution or maybe a warehouse, something that needs to keep some amount of data. And so far, we have wrote the programs that they had using memories, but the memories were, I mean, when you clo when the application terminated, the memory just got erased, and that is not suitable for the places that we need to keep those data, like hospitals or even warehouses, police stations, places that you need to have a persist data. So what you can do? Well, uh, there are actually a couple of solutions for that, and the most effective and cutting edge solution for that is to use clouds, which means your data uh, got stored in some remote places, and your client or your application just connected to those data to using via internet or other networking protocols like satellites and things like that. Things can go very messy, especially in the field of networks. But I'm not going to talk about them because this is going to be an elementary programming course. So we are here with some primitive solutions that you might find that really easily. First of all, I'm going to show you a way of saving data, which is still used, and that's very, what do you call it? Naive or simple? Some very simple ways. Uh, this episode is going to be a bit more longer than usual because I'm going to explain a couple of stuff, and I hope you are not as bored and you excited as me. So, let's open a file. Let's just call it text.txt, which is a standard file. Sorry about the noises if you can hear. My Telegram account is open and I got notifications and stuff like that, but never mind. I can hear them. I'm not sure if you can hear it too or not. So, this is a standard text file. You can just write the stuff in that, whatever. And that works great, but this is only human readable. So if you can see, hello, this data is very vital. Never share this with anyone. Another person can read this, but a machine cannot understand it, except into the field of data mining, AI stuff, large language models, and things like that that are very behind this course. We might get to them soon enough, but not right now. So this is not machine readable. There's a format, we call it CSV, which stands for uh, comma separated values, which is actually machine readable. There are a lot of libraries for working for them, and even it is getting used today. When you try to export your contacts in your phone, your contacts are extracted in the form of CSV. Even this format is, you know, this is very handy, and actually Microsoft Excel can read it. So how does it work? Well, the name might give it away that it is a comma separated values. This means there are some values like some numbers that are actually separated by commas. So that's it. That's really it. Nothing more, nothing less. And the structure is just like Excel, Microsoft Excel. And that's the reason that Microsoft Excel can read it. So imagine a table. Table has been made of some columns and some rows. And the columns are constant for each row. For example, you have one column called name, and every row has a column because they collide eventually. So, uh, by contract, the very first line of any CSV file is columns, and the rest of the file is just rows. So let's create a, you say, like, uh, a dial book, contact list, whatever. So it has been made of name and phone number. That's it. That's our two columns. Name, for example, is John, and the phone numbers is like plus 98 911 111 1234. These spaces are actually you can have it, you cannot have it. That's actually optional, so it doesn't matter. Uh, the very next person is Sarah, for example, with plus one, 987 1234. Uh, no, 123 and 1234. Yeah, that's the format for your numbers. For example, like uh, Ahmed is plus 971, 1234, and 1425. Different like it doesn't matter what I just want to represent it to. So if I want to add an address to every person, I can just use this, and for the last column, just enter some addresses like, for example, Iran, Tehran, SM7, for example, the 8th street, uh, like some Jannat Street, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And you might see that I have used commas in that address. And the comma was supposed to somehow separate those uh, columns. But how to avoid this? So there is a rule in CSV that says anytime you had to use commas or spaces or things that are sensitive in CSV files or might be known as other things, this is an ambiguity. This is ambiguous that because you don't know if this comma is part of the address itself or this supposed to separate this value from the next column. So every time you hit such a problem, you can just put that value inside the double quotation. So all of this double quotation would be assumed at only one cell. And that's it. That's simple. So that raises another question. What if I wanted to use double quotation inside uh, the value itself? So that's another story. That would be like Janet, or for example, First Street. It has two names, for example, and you want to just keep this and also keep that as the value here. So what should you do about the inner double quotation? You just have to add backslashes to them. That's it. adding backslashes to a double quotation ensures that the double quotation was not treated like CSV rules or stuff like that. This is getting separated from the syntax of CSV itself. So other values could be null. For example, if we had any other column like age, you could just add like 35 for John. For Sarah, I don't want to enter address, so that would be that empty space for address, and the age would be like 20, oh, 50, 24. And for Hamed, the address would be like UAE. That's it, and the age is like 31. Or I'm not sure. Those are called dominated, so don't worry about it. So, as you can see, this is now a complete CSV file, and you can just convert your data to a shape of CSV and save it somewhere and read it back. But I just want you, I just want to show you uh, how you could explore the CSV files inside the Microsoft Office. All you need to do is just convert this file into a CSV, and as soon as I do that, it says that you want an extension for this blah blah. I don't want it, so I'm going to open this, but uh, I have to rebuild it somehow. Yeah. And if I choose Microsoft Excel for this, as you can see, it can show this. Yeah, you can show these values. For example, the column is name, and you get the point, phone number, whatever. But this number is actually a large number, so the Excel tries to show it in a format of integer, and it gets for the e or the floating point. That's the floating point format. You can kind of change this to format cell and make it a number. That's gonna convert to a number. Whatever. Um, a more simple way is to just add a single quotation at the beginning. That would actually solve that problem, but it just kinda removes the ability to just add, multiply, division, or any other arithmetic operation. So enough of this CSA thingy. Uh, and I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to have some values inside the Python, and I'm gonna write those values inside the CSV and read them back. So with that at mind, I'm going to introduce you to a very handy and important function of Python, which is open. What it does, it opens a file. Well, when you open a file in Python, you could have some modes. The first argument is define descriptor or path. I'm going to just ignore it. But the second thing is mod. The mod is could be for reading, writing. Uh, that's it. Yeah, I mean, or appending, if you want to be more accurate, or a combination of those. For example, you want to write or append, or write and create if it doesn't exist already. So things like that. There's a list of file opening modes. I'm not gonna waste any time on that. That's not waste. I always search when I need an operation that I am not aware of. I mean, I keep forgetting things, and that's normal in programming because all you need to do is to just find the path, not to save the name of every functions and libraries. So uh, do not afraid to forget anything. You just have to keep practicing, and that was the reason that the Stack Overflow ever created. So keep that in mind. Um, First of all, imagine that we have a let's treat this with a normal text file. Let's go with txt. Now let's open that file in Python. So you can just say my file is equal to open the file name, the text.txt, and the mod is I think suggests all of those things. I'm not going to explain all of that because the append binary executive reading whatever it is. Well, I'm not going to use all of that at least. I'm just want to be able to write or maybe create if it didn't exist, but it already exists, so it just writes. uh, Maybe read RWL, which is for read and write. Uh, Maybe write for the beginning. So it doesn't matter actually. You can just play with it. A very handy thing or very important thing in mind is you just close your file when you are done with it because when you open the file, it just keeps that file open and no other program can actually write anything on that file because that file is busy. It's like when uh, some application occupying a file, the operating system doesn't allow other applications to write anything on that file. They just can't read it. So that might cause some resource inefficiency problem or some critical points, which is far behind this course to explain. But if you are curious about that, you can just Google for concurrency problems or Descartes' trial or maybe dining philosopher. Those are the the problems that are created during this subject, especially the dining philosopher. This is very famous one. So without further ado, if you want to write anything in that file, you just have to call the function called write. So I'm going to write like hello. That's it. If I run, let's open this. If I run this script, I'm not sure about antivirus. If I run this script, you can see that the content of this file has been altered to hello because I wrote hello. So if I change this to hello world and run this again, you can see that it is hello world. But we never mentioned to delete the other line. So what happened? So that is something that you might ask that what happened. So if you want to append anything, you just have to open it with a permission. So if I open this again, you can see that we have two hello worlds. And if I run this again, you can see that we have three hello worlds. And I can just clear this, run this again. We have another thing, and I can add \n to the beginning of that, and that means go to the new line. This is equivalent of hitting the enter. It goes to a new line. So with that, whenever I run this, it goes to a new line, and writes that sentence that I gave him. You can just add some lines, like lines, for example, and pass a list to write those simultaneously instead of having multiple rights. For example, hello world, I was here and like how is the weather? If I run this, it writes all of those three lines all together. That's really cool. That was just for writing lines. Well, if you kinda alter these nodes to R, which is for reading, you can just use a myfile dot read lines, which reads all the lines at once. So if you want to see what is going on, you can just print it. I print this and it says I gave me an array where the first element is hello world and a new line. Hello world, new line, hello world, new line, hello world, new line. I was here, new line, and hides the weather and nothing. And you can see there is no empty other line. If it was a another bracket slash n at the end, it would be like this. It had any, it had one empty line at the end, but didn't have that. So uh, that is what read lines do. But with read line, you can just only read one line. So that's obvious. If you call this function twice, well, let's go with this. If you run this function twice, you can see that it reads a first line and second line. So that is really, you know, uh, really easy to work with. But in case of a CSV, you kind of need to use read lines altogether, and you need a list of lines, and you're gonna work with that lines. But if you print that lines, as you can remember, it has some things like backslash n, maybe backslash rn, which is go to the new line, move the cursor at the beginning of that line, and then start writing and things like that. It depends on your operating system. On Linux, it is mostly a backslash r backslash n, which means reset the cursor and then go to new line. But in Windows, whenever you go to a new line, it just resets the cursor. So it's automatically goes at the beginning of the line. Uh, well, but you can see the lines is a bit messy. So what can you do about it? You can just use a inline lambda thingy in Python. You can say that I want a list. This is a list. And if I just run this, it is a list which contains another list that you have seen it here. It just going to start with two braces. That's it. But you can see that for x in that whatever list it is, make that x strip, which kind of removes those backslashes from the beginning and the end of the line. So if I run this again, you can see that magically those backslash ends are gone, and that's thanks to strip. And creating a dynamic list based off another list is a, a trick that you can use in Python, and this is how you can see. It says x at strip for every x in that inner list, and the result is going to be a another list. So it is a bit complicated. I agree with that, but that is how it is in Python. Just you have to kind of work with it. That's a very first trial to save data in a file. So this might not work in larger scales because uh, for every set of data you might have some other files and you want to be able to search through those files and things like that, it gets very complicated. So what you can do is use something called a databases. Databases are basically those tables that you saw earlier in Excel, but they are a bit more advanced. So uh let's without further ado, let's jump in it. For using databases, there are a couple of ways to do that, and there are a couple of categories and varieties of databases that you can use. And the two main categories for them are the relational databases, which also AKA called SQLite or SQL databases. They call SQL databases or secure, whatever your accent allows it. And the other category of databases are object related databases or simply no SQLs or no SQLs, uh, which the SQLs are kinda in table aggregation format and the NoSQL databases are in format of objects mostly. So also there are very different databases of any category. So for SQL, we have SQLite, which is very handy, and all of the data are stored in a single file, just like what we did here, but a bit more professional. There is MySQL. There is PostgreSQL or PostgreSQL in one line. There is Oracle or other databases that I cannot recall. There are plenty of them, like 20 or 30 of them. And for NoSQL databases, we have MongoDB. We have some other things that I cannot recall actually. This is not a part of this programming course. We are going to use SQL databases for the beginners because it is more organized and easy to use, and it has some built-in libraries in Python, which is really fantastic. It doesn't have the actually some what do you call it? The extra work that needed to be done in object-related uh, databases like NoSQL databases. So let's just start with the SQL databases, which is just like tables, but it has a special language, call it SQL queries, which you are going to learn it and love it. And I might record a video specifically for SQL writing code. SQL is SQL codes can be a bit more advanced and complicated, or they could be just as simple as hello world and things like that. We are going with the simple version here because I'm just recording a primitive programming course, and I just want to introduce you to the world of programming, not to make an expert of you. So, uh, without further ado, let's go and use that library. So, the library called SQLite 3, which is installed by default. But if it didn't exist on your computer, you could just install it with pip command. Pip install SQLite 3, whatever. And it says what? Good and the final version. Wow, it seems that the name is actually different. Let me try. It's SQLite itself. No, what? It says Let me copy this exactly. Uh, this is what it wrote here. It says you don't need to install SQLite module. It is included in the standard library since Python 2.5, which is like 2013, um, like 12 years ago. So you don't need to worry about that. But if you need any other packages, you can just started using pp and stop command. For example, request is not a part of standard Python. I just installed. I just write this and just downloaded some stuff and then successfully installed whatever, blah blah. So, uh, what was it? Yeah, we want to have the database. So, how it does work actually, it actually has a, you know, in the previous episode we called the created library and worked with the import and from keyword. So you can understand that when we are importing something called this the SQLite tree, we have a uh, class called the SQLite itself, which is included inside the DPPI, whatever, and inside that there is some other things that might be is yeah in here, and it has all those dependencies stacked up together, and uh, this is very complicated to create a library, but uh, I show you how to make library in a very basic way. Uh, I'm not sure in which of these files I can find that the SQLite tree class to show you, but it actually doesn't matter because we're going to just use it, not to rewrite it. Someone already did it for us. So we can use the SQLite tree facade to access a function called connect. And the connect function actually asks about database, which is str or bytes path. So I'm going with str and I'm going to say my db.db or my.db. Extension actually doesn't matter. You can use that's a SQLite skill or that's student that's db whatever it's suitable for you. I'm going with my db, which is the simplest name I can come with. And actually this function returns something for me at the end of the uh, when it is done. It returns something called the connection command. Yeah. Yeah, it returns something called connection. So I'm going to name it CONN, which is an abbreviation for connection. And with that connection, I have my database. So let me clear this, and if I run this script for you, it just creates a file which is empty. It has nothing inside it, and just connected to that file, and it did nothing. That's it. So that database is actually empty, but it is a SQLite standard database, as you can see. And uh, if you want to create a table inside that database, you can go like the connection. I'm not sure about this, but this part of my skill is a bit rusty actually. What it has, yeah, it has a execute function which accepts something like SQL. So I told you about the SQL queries, which is like a command language or SQL programming. This is not programming, it's actually a language for querying things. It's like how to interact with SQL databases. So this is really straightforward. So uh, you can go by create. double quotation, which allows you to go multi lines, and that actually helps you to write more clean SQL codes because SQL codes are a bit long. So the first thing I'm gonna do is just create a table. This is the very same table that we made with CSV, the containing from name and phone number. So uh, I'm going to write it, create table. I'm gonna name it uh, people, people, and a parenthesis. The parenthesis is actually introducing the columns of that table. The first thing I want is the name, which is the text, and that's it. The other thing is like phone number and the hyperlink is still a text. Doesn't matter if it is a text or not. That's it. So if I run this, and you have to close your connection for the very same reason that you have to close your file. Uh, it lets other programs to access this file as well. So yeah, I did that, and inside that it says this is a either binary or uses an unsupported text encoding, which is far behind the text, and we need some special applications to uh, interact with those files. And I'm using Table Plus here, and this actually, do not check for updates at the very moment. And with that, I can create a connection. This is all the connections that it supports, libsql, mongodb, SQLite, whatever you want, Postgres, MySQL, Maria. But our database is SQLite, which, as you can see from the name of library, I'm going with SQLite, and I'm gonna name it MyDB, and SQLite database uh, file is, yeah, the file is this file from my desktop. And that's it. I'm gonna save it. If I double click on that, I can see that there's a table called people that has two columns, and the structure is like name is the data type of name is text, and the phone is also text, and the data is blank because I never inserted anything inside the data. So this is a way to just see what is going on inside a SQLite database. So uh, let's go further with it. So if I run this again, I'm gonna hit an error because it says that table people already exist. So after create table, I'm going to say if not exists. So if it was exist, just let it go. That kind of fixes our problem. As you can see, the SQL language is not that hard, but it can go that hard. But in future videos, maybe. Uh, let's insert some data in the table. So using that connection, I can execute another SQL command, and I'm going with multiple lines to just make those spaces and new lines to just show it more properly. SQL is actually not a case sensitive language, or maybe the intent doesn't matter. You can just use as much as spaces and tabs as you need, and go with like uh the uppercase or lower cases, it doesn't matter actually. So I'm gonna be insert into people. You can see that I wrote insert and into with upper cases, but people with lower cases because the people is actually the name of the table. If I change this to this, it says that people didn't found because the people was created with the lowercase name. So for name of the columns and uh, tables itself, it is case sensitive. But in case of the commands itself, like inserting to create table, whatever, it doesn't matter. So, the parentheses is actually representing the column. So inside the people, I'm going to um, write the name and phone number. Uh, this is actually the order of the data I'm going to enter, and the values for entering is the name is John. Was it John? And the number is +1 and it's 7 1 2 3 1 4 25. Yep, that's it. And this is our order of data. So going name and phone number. So name and phone number. And if I want to create, insert another data, I'm going to add another tuple. For example, saw and plus 98, 936, 25, whatever. Doesn't matter. So if I run this, it says nothing. And if I come here and refresh this, does it? Oh, yeah, that's it. So inside the data, I can see nothing actually because I executed that and I closed the database without committing. So now, for the databases, especially in the form of SQL databases, every data writing procedure or reading procedure or altering a procedure or updating, deleting, whatever, you kind of can get it, is called a transaction. And the transaction must be committed. Otherwise, it just rollbacks when the connection is closed. And the commit is kind of a ensure mechanism to ensure that our procedure went perfectly well. Imagine a banking application or an accounting application that you want to transfer a money from someone to another person. You have to alter someone's wallet and claim something like $100 or whatever. You claim $100 from someone and you want to top it off on someone else's account. So, what happens if in the middle of the procedure your application crashes? You claim $100 from someone's account and never got any chance to add it up to another account. So the total money in the bank kind of went down by $100. And that is not a proper transaction you want to do. So the SQLite and other SQL databases are like when you are finished with a certain task, you have to commit. That comment actually says that, hey, I'm done with altering my data. You can just save this state. So this is the reason that we did not see the data after I refresh that. So if I run this script again and I refresh, you can see that I have my data here because I committed. That's it. I have John, Sarah, and those numbers here. That is actually our first episode of skill databases in Python. The video went far longer than I was expected. And for reading from databases, altering data, deleting data, and things like that, I'm going to let it go for another video. So I see you in the next episode, and I hope you enjoyed it so far. If you did, don't forget to uh, you know what to do. Have a good night, and if a pleasure, actually, happy New Year's.